The room is always the same. It does not matter if it is in a sterile hospital wing, a quiet bedroom with the curtains drawn, or the chaotic aftermath of an accident. The atmosphere is identical. The air becomes thick, heavy with a specific kind of silence that screams louder than any noise you have ever heard. The lights seem to dim, not because of the voltage, but because the world itself is receding. In this moment, the biological machinery begins to fail. The heart, that rhythmic drum that has beaten closer to 3 billion times without your conscious permission, begins to stutter. The lungs, which have processed the oxygen of the earth for decades, struggle to inflate. But the physical collapse is not the event. The physical collapse is merely the background noise. The true event, the catastrophic singularity of this moment, takes place in the mind. It is here, in the final flickering of consciousness, that the terrifying clarity arrives. It is not a light at the end of the tunnel. It is a mirror, and in that mirror, you do not see the face you showed the world. You do not see the titles you earned, the bank account balances you meticulously grew, or the social compliance you maintained. You see the unlived life. You see the ghostly silhouette of the person you were supposed to be, staring back at the person you actually became. This is the moment where the soul, stripped of its distractions, stripped of its future, is forced to consume the past. And for the vast majority of modern humans, this meal is bitter. It is poison. This is the moment where the 5 regrets are not just bullet points in a viral article. They are the 5 nails in the coffin of your spirit. You are not dying yet. You are reading this or listening to this, which means you still have the luxury of breath. But make no mistake, you are already in the process. You are decaying. You are moving toward this room at a speed of 60 seconds per minute. The system you live in, the economic, social, and cultural matrix that surrounds you, is designed to make you forget this destination. It is designed to keep you distracted, sedated, and compliant until you arrive at that final bed, filled with regret, having been a perfect battery for a machine that does not care about you. We are going to walk into that room today. We are going to sit by that deathbed, and we are going to dissect the regrets that destroy the soul, not to depress you, but to terrify you into waking up. The system of anesthesia. Most people believe that their choices are their own. You believe that you chose your career, your lifestyle, your anxieties, and your desires. This is the first and greatest lie. From the moment you were born, you were inducted into a system of manufactured consent. This system, which we can call the Matrix, or the Society of the Spectacle, or simply the Herd, operates on a single fundamental mechanism, the postponement of existence. The system is built on a transaction. It promises you safety, comfort, and validation in the future in exchange for your obedience and conformity in the present. It tells you that if you study hard, work hard, repress your strange impulses, and follow the script, you will eventually arrive at a place of happiness. It dangles the carrot of retirement, of the weekend, of the next vacation. It trains you to live always in the not yet. The result is a profound existential anesthesia. You numb yourself to the gnawing emptiness in your gut, that subtle feeling that something is wrong by consuming. You consume media, you consume sugar, you consume drama, you consume products. You scroll through infinite feeds of other people's curated lives to avoid looking at the jagged edges of your own. You drink to soften the sharp corners of reality. You work overtime to buy things that signal status to people you do not respect. This is not accidental. A population that is deeply connected to its own mortality, a population that values time over money and authenticity over conformity, is dangerous to the status quo. A person who realizes they are going to die does not tolerate a bullshit job. They do not tolerate abusive relationships. They do not buy things to fill a void that cannot be filled. The system requires you to be immortal in your mind so that you will be a slave in your actions. It needs you to believe you have time, but the emptiness you feel, that void you are running from, that is not a symptom of sickness. That is the only part of you that is currently healthy. That pain is your soul screaming through the layers of conditioning, trying to tell you that you are wasting the miracle. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are building a resistance here. The twist, the void, is the teacher. The great mistake of modern psychology and the self-help industry is the pathologizing of the void. They tell you that if you feel empty, you are broken. They offer you pills, affirmations, and strategies to fix yourself, to get back to being a productive member of the hive. They treat existential dread as a malfunction. But what if the dread is the function? Heidegger, the German philosopher who spent his life contemplating the nature of being, argued that angst, anxiety or dread, is the only mood that reveals the truth of the world. When you are happy, you are absorbed in the world. When you are busy, you are lost in the world. But when you're in angst, the world loses its meaning. The props on the stage fall down. You see the ropes and pulleys. You realize the absurdity of it all. This realization is not a problem to be solved. It is a transition of consciousness. The void is not a monster under the bed. It is the master teacher. It is clearing the space for something real to emerge. The pain you feel is the friction of your soul, rubbing against the bars of the cage you built. The tragedy is not that you feel empty. The tragedy is that you rush to fill that emptiness with garbage instead of sitting in it until it transforms you. You are running away from the very thing that could save you. You are running from the silence because the silence tells the truth. The first regret, the courage to be authentic. When the palliative care nurse Bronnie Ware recorded the regrets of the dying, the most common, the most devastating confession was this: "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." Read that again. It sounds simple, almost cliché, but let the weight of it crush you. This is the regret of the actor who forgot to take off the mask. This is the regret of the person who spent 80 years performing a role written by their parents, their teachers, their bosses, and their society. It is the realization that your personality was largely a trauma response, a set of behaviors curated to ensure safety and acceptance rather than expression. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, the overman, the individual who transcends the morality of the herd to create their own values. The herd hates the individual. The herd demands sameness. When you deviate from the script, when you pursue art instead of accounting, when you love who you want to love, when you speak the dangerous truth, the herd punishes you. They withdraw affection. They mock you. They ostracize you. To avoid this social pain, you betray yourself. You amputate parts of your spirit to fit into the box they provided. You smile when you want to scream. You say yes when every fiber of your being screams no. You become a good person, a responsible citizen, and in doing so, you commit the ultimate suicide, the murder of your potential self. The dying realize too late that the herd's opinion was irrelevant. The people you tried so hard to impress, they are likely dead or indifferent. The expectations you enslaved yourself to, they were illusions. You sacrificed your one singular, non-repeatable existence on the altar of what will people think. This is the destruction of the soul. It is the realization that you were merely a vessel for other people's anxieties. The second regret, the slavery of productivity. The second regret is visceral. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This is the regret of the male archetype in particular, though it infects everyone in the late-stage capitalist machine. It is the regret of the provider who became nothing but a wallet. It is the regret of the ambitious climber who reached the top of the mountain only to find the air was too thin to breathe and the view was just more mountains. We live in a culture that fetishizes the grind. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We answer emails at 11 p.m. to prove our loyalty to corporations that view us as line items on a spreadsheet. We trade the precious, irretrievable hours of our children's youth, our partner's vitality, and our own health for what? For a slightly larger house? For a car that depreciates? For the approval of a boss who is also terrified and trapped? This is the trap of the means to an end. You tell yourself you're working this hard for your family. You are doing it to get freedom later. But the later never comes. The finish line moves. The lifestyle inflates. The golden handcuffs tighten. You are trading your life force, the very blood in your veins, for tokens. And when you are in that final bed looking at the ceiling, you will realize that all the spreadsheets, all the meetings, all the stress, all the urgent deadlines amounted to absolutely nothing in the cosmic scale. You missed the sunset. You missed the play. You missed the quiet moments of connection. You were busy making a living, and you forgot to make a life. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are dismantling the grind. The third regret, the courage to feel. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Civilization is built on repression. Sigmund Freud knew this. He argued that civilization requires the suppression of our primal instincts. But it goes deeper than that. We are taught that vulnerability is weakness. We are taught to keep a stiff upper lip. We are taught that anger is unprofessional, that sadness is depressing, that excessive joy is naive. So we settle for a middle ground of gray neutrality. We swallow our words. We swallow our love. We swallow our rage. And where do those feelings go? They do not disappear. They rot. They fester in the subconscious. They manifest as psychosomatic illnesses, as bitter resentments, as sudden explosions of temper, as a low-level hum of anxiety that never ceases. The dying regret the peace treaties they signed with mediocrity to avoid conflict. They regret the "I love you" that was never spoken. They regret the boundaries that were never set. They realize that by suppressing their feelings, they suppressed their humanity. They became emotional automatons, efficient but dead inside. To express your feelings is to risk chaos. It is to risk rejection. It is to risk the collapse of the stable, comfortable lie. And so, most people choose the comfort of the lie until the end, when the lie crumbles anyway, and they are left with the crushing weight of everything they never said. The fourth regret, the atrophy of connection. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. This regret strikes at the heart of our modern isolation. We live in the most connected era in human history, yet we are drowning in loneliness. We have friends on screens, followers, likes, and connections, but we have lost the tribal bond of shared presence. Friendship, true friendship, requires maintenance. It requires time, vulnerabilities, and shared experiences, but the system pulls us apart. It demands we move for jobs. It demands we focus on the nuclear family to the exclusion of the tribe. It fills our time with so much noise that we lack the energy to pick up the phone, to drive across town, to just sit with someone without an agenda. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher often engaged in the pursuit of pleasure, actually argued that the greatest component of a happy life is friendship. He bought a garden and lived there with his friends. He understood that humans are social animals, not networking nodes. When you are dying, your career will not hold your hand. Your portfolio will not comfort you. Your status will not weep for you. It is only the human connections you forged that matter. And the regret is the realization that you let the golden threads of these connections snap. One by one, out of laziness, out of pride, out of busyness, you allowed the most valuable assets of your life to depreciate to zero. The fifth regret, the prohibition of joy. I wish that I had let myself be happier. This is the twist that breaks the heart. Let myself. It implies permission. It implies that happiness was there, waiting, accessible, but you denied it access. Many of us believe that happiness is something we must earn. We believe we don't deserve it until we have achieved X, Y, or Z. Or, darker still, we believe that happiness is dangerous. We are superstitious. We think if we are too happy, the universe will strike us down. We feel guilty for being happy when there is suffering in the world. So, we practice a kind of preemptive misery. We stay in the familiar zone of dissatisfaction because it feels safer than the vulnerability of joy. We cling to old patterns of victimhood because they give us an identity. We take ourselves so incredibly seriously. The dying realize that happiness was a choice, not a permanent state of euphoria, that is a biological impossibility, but a choice to be opened to the good, a choice to laugh, a choice to play, a choice to be silly. The system thrives on your misery. Unhappy people are great consumers. They buy things to feel better. Happy, content people are bad for the economy. Therefore, the culture engineers dissatisfaction. It constantly points out what you lack. To be happy is an act of rebellion. To be happy is to look at the matrix and laugh. The regret is that you spent your life waiting for permission to smile, only to realize you held the key the entire time. The waiting room metaphor. Imagine your life is a waiting room. You're sitting in a plastic chair. There are magazines on the table, magazines about celebrities, about fashion, about news, about politics. There is a TV in the corner playing a 24-hour cycle of fear and desire. You sit there, reading the magazines, watching the TV, checking your watch. You are annoyed. You are bored. You are anxious. You are waiting for your name to be called. You believe that when your name is called, the real event will begin. The doctor will see you. The job will start. The life will begin. So you wait. You minimize your movements. You don't talk to the other people in the waiting room because that would be awkward. You just consume the distraction to pass the time. Here is the horror. The waiting room is the life. There is no doctor. There is no appointment. There is only the room. And then the lights go out. Most people spend 80 years reading the magazines and watching the screen, waiting for life to start, while life is actually the act of waiting itself. They didn't dance in the waiting room. They didn't tear up the magazines and make art. They didn't turn off the TV. They didn't hold hands with the stranger next to them. They just waited. And then they died. Do not die in the waiting room. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The warning, the trap of false solutions. Now, a warning. When the weight of this realization hits you, when you feel the terror of the wasted time, the instinct is to panic. The instinct is to swing the pendulum to the other extreme. You might be tempted to embrace hedonism. YOLO, you say. You might want to quit your job today, buy a motorcycle, do drugs, travel the world, and chase dopamine hits. This is a trap. This is just the other side of the same coin. Hedonism is just another form of anesthesia. Chasing pleasure is just as empty as chasing productivity. The drunkard and the workaholic are running from the same void. They just use different shoes. The system loves the hedonist just as much as the worker. The hedonist consumes even more. The eat, pray, love narrative is often just another product sold to you. Find yourself usually involves buying a plane ticket and a yoga retreat package. Do not mistake escapism for freedom. Do not mistake adrenaline for aliveness. The solution is not to run away from your life. The solution is to inhabit your life. It is not about changing the location of your body. It is about changing the location of your consciousness. The new paradigm, memento mori. So, how do we break the cycle? How do we avoid the 5 regrets? We must adopt a new operating system. We must go back to the ancient wisdom of the Stoics. Memento mori. Remember that you must die. This is not morbid. It is not depressive. It is the most life-affirming tool you possess. Death is the contrast that gives life its color. Without death, time has no value. If you had infinite time, nothing would matter. You could always do it later. But you do not have infinite time. You have a finite, rapidly depleting bank account of hours. When you keep death on your shoulder as an advisor, everything changes. When you are arguing with your spouse over something petty, ask death, does this matter if I die tonight? The answer is no. You drop the ego. You forgive. When you are terrified to launch that project, ask death, what is the worst that can happen? I fail? So what? I'm going to be dust anyway. The fear dissolves. When you are tempted to scroll social media for 3 hours, ask death, is this how I want to spend my limited consciousness? The phone goes down. Death strips away the bullshit. It reveals what is essential. It is the ultimate prioritization tool. The story of the architect. Let me tell you about Elias. Elias was an architect, not just any architect, a successful one. He designed skyscrapers. He was precise, driven, and envied. He had the penthouse, the sleek car, the designer suits. He was the embodiment of the system's promise. At 50, Elias had a minor stroke. He recovered physically, but something broke in his mind. He saw the waiting room. He realized that for 25 years, he had been building cages for other people while living in a gilded cage of his own. He realized he didn't care about skyscrapers. He realized he missed the smell of wood shavings. He realized he hadn't had a real conversation with his son in a decade. Elias didn't move to Bali. He didn't divorce his wife. He didn't buy a Ferrari. He simply stopped lying. He reduced his firm's workload. He started a small workshop in his garage where he built wooden furniture with his own hands. Imperfect, tactile, real furniture. He brought his son into the workshop. They didn't talk much at first, just the sound of the saw and the smell of sawdust. But the connection grew. Elias stopped attending the cocktail parties he hated. He stopped laughing at jokes he didn't find funny. He started walking in the rain without an umbrella just to feel the water. He was still an architect, but he was no longer a slave. He had integrated the void. He accepted that he would die, and that liberated him to live. He died 12 years later, but those 12 years contained more life than the previous 50 combined. Instructions for the awakening. You do not need a stroke to wake up. You can do it right now, but it requires a terrifying act of courage. 1. Stop running. Turn off the noise. Put the phone in another room. Sit in a chair. Do nothing. No meditation technique, no mantra, just sit. Stare at the wall. The anxiety will rise. The boredom will claw at your throat. Your brain will scream for dopamine. Let it scream. Watch the scream. This is withdrawal. You are detoxing from the matrix. Stay there until you feel the horror of your own existence. Stay there until you feel the tears. Stay there until you break through to the silence on the other side. 2. Conduct a death audit. Look at your calendar from the last month. Highlight the things you did out of obligation, fear, or habit in red. Highlight the things you did out of joy, love, or purpose in green. Look at the ratio. That red is your bleeding soul. That red is the regret accumulating in your arteries. You cannot eliminate all the red. We must chop wood and carry water, but you must declare war on it. Eliminate one red thing this week, just one. Say no. Phase 3, speak the dangerous truth. Pick one relationship where you are wearing a mask. Say the thing you are afraid to say. I am unhappy. I love you. I quit. I'm sorry. The structure of your life might shake. Good. Let it shake. If it collapses, it was built on a lie anyway. 4. Touch the earth. We are biological entities, not digital ghosts. Go outside. Touch a tree. Feel the cold. Use your body for something other than sitting. Remind your biology that it is alive. Synthesis, the liberation. The 5 regrets are not a list of failures. They are a map of the territory we must cross. They are the warning buoys marking the reefs where the ship of state wrecks itself. The problem we started with, the void, the anxiety, the feeling of entrapment, is not the enemy. It is the summons. It is the call to adventure. The system wants you to interpret that pain as a need for a product. You must reinterpret it as a need for the truth. You are not a mistake. You are a consciousness, briefly emerging from the eternal dark to witness the splendor of the universe. To waste this on spreadsheets and social anxiety is a cosmic crime. The final return. Let us return to that room, the hospital room, the beeping monitor. Imagine you are there now. You are 90 years old. Your breath is shallow. The shadows are lengthening. But this time, the movie that plays in your mind is different. You see the risks you took. You see the times you said no to the herd and yes to your soul. You see the messy, beautiful, painful, real relationships. You see the art you made. You see the days you did absolutely nothing but watch the clouds, and you didn't feel guilty. You look at the person in the mirror, and you do not see a stranger. You see an old friend. You see a used-up body, scarred and worn, that was thoroughly inhabited. There is no panic. There is no if only. There is only a quiet, satisfied exhaustion, like the feeling after a long day of hard, good work. You close your eyes, the monitor flatlines. The silence comes, but it is not a heavy silence, it is a light silence, because you didn't just survive, you lived, you are still in the waiting room. But the door is open. Walk out. The architecture of the cage, why you stay. You know the door is open. You have heard the warnings. You have seen the regrets written in the ink of other people's tears, and yet you do not move. You stay in the waiting room. You pick up another magazine. You scroll for another hour. Why? It is not because you are weak. It is not because you are stupid. It is because the cage is not made of iron bars. It is made of biology and engineered consent. To truly escape the regrets of the dying, we must dissect the machinery that keeps you compliant. We must look at the wires under the skin. The system, that massive interlocking complex of corporate interest, social conditioning, and economic pressure, has hacked your survival instincts. For 200,000 years, your ancestors survived by conserving energy and staying with the tribe. To step away from the tribe was death. To burn unnecessary energy was death. The Matrix exploits this ancient code. It equates conformity with safety and authenticity with danger. When you think about quitting the job that crushes your soul to pursue the art that ignites it, your amygdala, the lizard brain, screams. It floods your system with cortisol. It simulates the fear of being eaten by a predator. You feel a physical tightening in your chest. You interpret this biological signal as, this is a bad idea, but that is a lie. The signal simply means, this is new. The system has trained you to mistake the vertigo of freedom for the vertigo of death. To live a life without regret, you must learn to override your own biology. You must learn to view that spike of fear not as a stop sign, but as a compass. The fear indicates where the growth is. If you are not afraid, you are likely asleep. The simulacra of connection. Let us go deeper into the regret of connection. I wish I had stayed in touch. Why is this so hard? Because we have replaced connection with simulation. The French philosopher Jean Baudrillard wrote about the simulacra, a copy with no original. We live in a map that has overtaken the territory. Social media is the simulacrum of friendship. Pornography is the simulacrum of intimacy. Video games are the simulacrum of achievement. The system floods you with these hyper-real substitutes because they are profitable. Real friendship requires nothing but time and presence, which cannot be monetized easily. But a digital connection? That can be mined for data, served with ads and gamified. You feel connected because you saw a photo of your friend's lunch. You feel informed because you read a headline. But your soul is starving. The soul does not eat pixels. It eats presence. The regret comes at the end of life because that is when the simulation finally breaks down. You cannot hold a pixelated hand on your deathbed. You cannot reminisce with a timeline. The screen goes black, and you are left with the crushing realization that you traded the warmth of a human hand for the cold light of an LED display. You must become an iconoclast. You must smash the idols. You must prioritize the messy, inconvenient, inefficient act of sitting in a room with another human being over the seamless, frictionless efficiency of digital communication. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are breaking the simulation. The economics of postponement. The regret, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, is not just about time, it is about the theft of the present moment. The economy relies on the concept of future value. You invest now to reap later. You work now to retire later. You suffer now to be happy later. This is the logic of capital, and it is useful for building factories, but it is fatal for building a life. Life is not an investment vehicle. Life is a burning wick. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, warned us about this 2,000 years ago in On the Shortness of Life. He wrote, "Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. It snatches away each day as it comes and denies us the present by promising the future. The system keeps you in a state of permanent postponement. It invents new desires faster than you can fulfill the old ones. The goalpost for enough is mounted on wheels. You think, once I hit this net worth, I will relax. Once I get this promotion, I will spend time with my kids. But the brain creates a tolerance to achievement just like it creates a tolerance to heroin. The hedonic treadmill ensures that you return to your baseline level of happiness or misery very quickly after any success. The system knows this. It banks on this. It needs you to stay on the treadmill to keep the lights on. The only way to win is to jump off, to declare enough, to realize that the coffee you drink on a Tuesday morning, if drunk with total presence, is as valuable as the champagne you might drink at a retirement party 20 years from now. The philosophical deconstruction, Schopenhauer's pendulum. To understand why we fall into these regrets, we must look at Arthur Schopenhauer. He famously described life as a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. When we lack something, we feel pain, desire, striving, anxiety. When we get it, we feel boredom, emptiness, lack of purpose. Most people spend their lives trying to optimize this swing. They think the solution to the pain of desire is to satisfy the desire. But Schopenhauer argued that the will, the blind driving force of existence, is insatiable. You satisfy one desire, and 10 more grow in its place. The regrets of the dying are the regrets of people who stayed trapped in the pendulum. They worked hard, pain, to achieve comfort, Baudrillard's happiness, only to find it empty, boredom. So they invented new anxieties, pain, to feel alive again. The way out, the path to a regret-free life, is not to swing the pendulum, but to stop it. This is the negation of the will. This is the state of aesthetic contemplation, of creating art, of deep connection, of compassion. When you are truly with a friend, regret number 4, you are not striving, you are not bored, you are being. When you are authentic, regret number 1, you are not performing for the will of society. You are being. When you allow yourself happiness, regret number 5, you are stepping off the wheel of desire. The system hates the Schopenhauerian sage because the sage does not need the next product to feel whole. The sage is dangerous. Be the sage. The terror of freedom, Kierkegaard's vertigo. Søren Kierkegaard offered another piece of the puzzle. He spoke of the dizziness of freedom. He said that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, the realization that you are absolutely free to choose and that you are absolutely responsible for that choice. This is terrifying. If you are free to choose your life, then you have no one to blame if you waste it. So, to avoid this terror, we adopt bad faith, a term later coined by Sartre. We pretend we don't have a choice. I have to work this job. No, you don't. You choose the salary over the uncertainty. I can't tell them how I feel. No, you choose safety over vulnerability. I can't change. No, you choose the familiarity of your suffering over the unknown of your potential. The regrets of the dying are the collapse of bad faith. Death strips away the excuse of necessity. When you are dying, you see clearly that you were the pilot of the plane the entire time, but you locked yourself in the cockpit and pretended the autopilot was broken. You must embrace the dizziness. You must stand on the cliff of your own potential and look down. Yes, you might fall, but you might also fly. The only true failure is to never jump. Protocol. The audit of the soul. We need to get tactical. Philosophy without action is just intellectual masturbation. How do we surgically remove these regrets before they metastasize? 1. The eulogy exercise, visualization. Do not just think about this. Do it. Tonight, turn off the lights. Lie on the floor. Imagine your funeral. What are they saying? Who is there? Now imagine the truth. Imagine what they are thinking, but not saying. He was always busy. She never really let me in. He seemed so stressed. Write down the eulogy you want. Be specific. He was a man who tasted his food. She was a woman who listened like the world was ending. Compare the two. The gap between them is your current trajectory. You have to close that gap. 2. The rejection therapy. Courage building. Regret number 1 and number 3 come from a fear of rejection. You must callous your mind against this fear. Deliberately seek small rejections. Ask for a discount you won't get. Ask a stranger a question. Speak up in a meeting, even if your voice shakes. Train your nervous system to realize that social disapproval does not kill you. The more you desensitize yourself to the herd's opinion, the more authentic you become. 3. The non-negotiable block to combat regret. Or 2. Working too hard. And or 4. Friends, you must ring-fence time. The system will eat 100% of your available time if you let it. You must pay yourself first. Block out 3 hours a week for deep connection. No phones, no agenda, just being with someone. Block out 1 hour a day for the void, doing nothing. Treat these blocks with the same sanctity as a meeting with the CEO. You are the CEO of your life. Do not be a terrible boss to yourself. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are rewriting the script. The illusion of later. Let us address the most dangerous word in the English language. Later. I'll travel later. I'll write the book later. I'll forgive him later. Later is a concept, not a reality. It exists only in the mind. The physical universe knows only now. The atoms in your body are vibrating now. The breath in your lungs is happening now. When you defer your life to later, you are depositing your happiness into a bank that is currently on fire. There is a Zen proverb, when you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. Most of us, when we walk, we plan the arrival. When we eat, we watch the screen. The dying man would give everything he owns, every cent, every accolade, for 1 single hour of your now. He would give it all to just sit in your chair, breathe your air, and feel the boredom you are trying to escape. You are a billionaire of time, squandering your fortune on cheap distractions. The paradox of meaning. Finally, we must address the search for purpose. Many people reach the end of life regretting they didn't do something great. They wanted to leave a legacy, but the 5 regrets are surprisingly quiet about legacy. They don't say, I wish I built a pyramid. They say, I wish I had been happy. I wish I had touched my friends. The system sells you the grand purpose. It tells you to change the world. Why? Because people trying to change the world are productive. They work hard. But true meaning is often found in the micro, not the macro. It is found in the way you make coffee for your partner. It is found in the way you treat the cashier. It is found in the integrity of your own mind. You do not need to save the world to justify your existence. You are not a tool. You are not an asset. You are a life. Your existence is its own justification. The trees do not apologize for growing. The sun does not apologize for shining. You do not need to apologize for being who you are, or for wanting to sit in the sun and do absolutely nothing. The final reframe. The 5 regrets are not a death sentence. They are a treasure map. They are the negative image of a perfect life. Reverse them, and you have the manifesto for the free soul. I will live by my own compass regardless of the herd. I will work only enough to sustain my freedom, never sacrificing my life for a ledger. I will speak my truth, even if my voice shakes. I will tend to the garden of my friendships as if they were rare orchids. I will allow myself to be happy right here, right now, in the midst of the chaos. This is the path. It is steep. It is lonely at times. The system will try to claw you back. It will bribe you with comfort and threaten you with insecurity. But keep walking, because at the end of the road, in that quiet room, you want to look back and smile. You want to have nothing left to pack. You want to be empty, not because you missed out, but because you gave it all away. Do not take your song to the grave. Character count, 11. For 10 segment total character, count 23 to 60, running total. Part 3, the decomposition of the ego, deepening the work. We are not done. The mind is slippery. Even now as you read this, your ego is trying to find a loophole. It is saying, yes, this is inspiring, but I have bills to pay. Yes, but my situation is unique. Let us burn the loopholes. The ego is the manager of the waiting room. The ego is the construct that cares about legacy and status. The ego is the part of you that is terrified of the first regret, authenticity, because the ego is the mask. To truly escape the regrets, you must practice a kind of controlled suicide. You must let the fake you die before your body does. This is what the mystics mean by die before you die. If you kill the need for approval now, you cannot regret not having it later. If you kill the need for status now, you cannot regret not working harder for it later. This is the ultimate freedom. It is the freedom of the nobody. When you become a nobody, you are free to be anybody. When you stop protecting your image, you can start living your life. Think of the energy you spend every day defending your ego, defending your opinions, defending your choices, defending your appearance. Imagine if that energy was released. Imagine if it was poured into creativity, into love, into pure experience. That is the energy of the child. The child has no regrets. The child plays. The child screams. The child sleeps. The child is entirely here. We spend 20 years educating the child out of us, and the rest of our lives trying to get him back. The deathbed is simply the moment the ego is finally forced to surrender. Why wait? Surrender now. Drop the heavy coat. It never kept you warm anyway. The visual of the hourglass. Picture an hourglass. The sand is falling. You cannot stop it. You cannot flip it over. Most people watch the bottom glass, counting the sand that has passed. The past. I should have done this. I regret that. Some people watch the top glass, worrying about how much is left. The future. Will I have enough? What if I run out? The master watches the pinch point, the tiny, singular neck where the sand flows. That pinch point is the present. That is the only place where action happens. That is the only place where love happens. That is the only place where you happen. If you live in the pinch point, you cannot have regrets. Regret requires a past. Anxiety requires a future. Presence requires neither. A call to arms. You have read the words. You have felt the stirrings of the old ghost within you. But information is not transformation. The system relies on you consuming this content as entertainment. It wants you to nod, feel a brief catharsis, and then tab back to your email. Do not give it that satisfaction. Make a blood oath with yourself today. Choose one regret, just one. Is it the work, the friends, the feelings? Pick one target and destroy the barrier. Call the friend. Quit the committee. Say the words. Do it with trembling hands. Do it with a pounding heart. But do it because the clock is ticking. The room is waiting, and you deserve to arrive there empty, exhausted, and smiling. The expansion continues.